Hi everybody, it's Agnes, and today I have an interview with Vincent. Hello, Vincent.
Morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing great, like Agnes is smiling right now on the screen.
Thank you for saying you'd come and do this interview. You and I had a bit of a chat about doing a video interview where you can actually share not so much a success story today, but a where you're at and what the mechanics of what's going on for you, what you're finding helpful, where you're stuck, what you're finding unhelpful. So you and I said we'd have a very candid conversation about this so that those that are really still suffering and having a really hard time will be able to relate to what's going on and where you're at. And so I would like to welcome you into the conversation to start off a little bit about, well, wherever you want to start, what's going on or where you were, what you've learned. You hop in and I'll pop in and ask you questions along the way.
Okay, gorgeous. Thank you. So this is a specific person's story, and it was actually about attracting her back in my life, but me not being ready for it when she came back to me. And for anyone listening, it's because I did not go deep enough in my own personal work. I'm going to pause so that sets in.
That's a big statement, looking back with hindsight, isn't it?
Huge for me. Because had I ended up getting advice after the fact that I should have heard before. And my gut even told me, forget about her, forget about her, forget about her. And my ego would not let me do it. Here's what happened with me, everyone. Back last year, 2018, I picked up a law of attraction workbook called Unlimited. And it was basically daily exercises that you could do. And I got into LOA because of a work situation that did not go my way, but I wanted to change that. And I noticed about 3 weeks into the book, I'm feeling really good. I feel different. Like I'm appreciating more the small little things that would annoy me before didn't matter. And I was meditating consistently as well. And then one day at work, I see one of my coworkers and I think, well, she's obviously attractive. And what would it take for me to get in there with her? What would it take for us to start dating? And a couple of days later, she drops hints about this, that, and the other thing. And then about a week or two later, I think it was, she's starting to put energy out my way. To which I'm thinking to myself, well, what's going on here? Is she interested in me? Why is she interested in me? Which is problem number one. Because I was not accepting it. And I couldn't because of the person I was at that time. So go forward by about 3-4 weeks or a month. I'm in my head the entire time, back and forth on this about her. Should I ask her out? Should I not ask her out? What should I do? Is she interested in me? Blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know what I knew now, which is if you go in your head about it, you're actually making it worse for yourself rather than taking action. And taking action in this incident would have been simply saying, I want to spend time with you away from here. Let's get together. And then I wasn't doing that because was not confident enough in myself if she gave me a no answer, because I was looking to her for validation. I've been looking to her and other women in my life for years, decades even, for me to tell me that I'm good enough the way I am, despite my imperfections. So I asked her out one day, and she says yes. And then I'm still in my head about it because I can't believe a woman this beautiful is interested in me. And on top of that, how is all this happening? Like, why me? Like, I discovered as part of my journey of going deep into myself that my body very much felt, the stories I have inside me very much feel or have felt that she could do better than me. So why me? And that ended up having me doing things that were congruent with myself, sabotaging myself. And I I noticed during this time as well, I was talking to myself negatively about the two of us going out. Well, she's not interested in me. She's not going to go out with you, blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
And I didn't know this at the time as well, but the way you talk to yourself is the way you feel about yourself in any given situation. Whether you're driving down the highway and saying, I'm a terrible driver, or you're trying to make beef Wellington for the first time and you're saying to yourself, this is going to turn out terribly. That's how you feel about yourself there in that moment. So she and I did not end up getting together, and she became passive towards me. And having been in this situation before, I knew exactly what was going on. I was messing up and pushing her away. So that's when I started the journey and going deeper into myself. But despite my body telling me, forget about her, forget about her, forget about her, my ego would not let me do it. And during this time of personal growth, when I could have gone incredibly deep into myself and gotten rid and scrubbed out of years of crap, I had my foot on the brake. Because half my energy was dedicated to the personal growth and the other half was dedicated to hopefully her and I getting together because my ego wanted the validation. So I started working with different guys that actually help guys get through their crap, and work with one particular group of guys out of Los Angeles that I had a 7-day experience with, and I went deep with them to start rooting out what were my issues and discovering that it had to do with, it still does have to do with abandonment and my dad teasing me when I was a kid and throwing a temper tantrum was something that was very big for me. And I keep working on myself, and eventually I follow some of the advice I'm being given with them. I'm seeing changes, and I was doing all this work to be better with women, and I told myself it wasn't about her, but the reality is half of it was about her, or all of it was about her. And it's because my ego wanted to prove to myself that I could get together with a girl like her, rather than believing in myself and knowing that I could, especially since she had been interested in me and having pushed her away and not done anything about it. So flash forward to this year, it's about a year after I asked her out, and I'm in my house one day and basically, well, why were you doing all this work? Why were you going after her and chasing her? Well, you were chasing her validation. And as soon as I saw that, I felt all this energy up in my chest that completely dropped down into my stomach and in my crotch and in my legs. Where I was coming from as a man completely changed, because I saw what I'd been doing and seeing where I needed to work on myself, and immediately became more grounded and centered in myself, because I had found a very big missing piece for me. I was seeking something from her. And I saw weeks before that I've been very needy with women for years, despite what one of my friends who's a woman said, I don't feel you're needy. Well, you don't experience me on the dating level, sweetheart.
Yeah.
So after I have this massive realization and I feel my energy shift, a couple of days later, she starts flirting with me again. And my body went back to, what? I can't believe she's flirting with me. Is she flirting with me? What's going on here? This is unbelievable. Oh my God, she's flirting with me. This is so great. And then a couple of days after that, I noticed, holy crap, I'm doing the same thing I was doing before, where I was spending more time fantasizing about spending time with her and talking to her, instead of doing what I could have done and wish I had done and should have done, which would be to step up and simply say to her, I'd like to take you on a date, or let's get together for a drink Sunday night. I want to spend time with you. And if she turned me down, she turned me down. I'd be okay with it. But my ego was attached to the outcome. I was attached to the outcome of having her say yes, rather than having no attachment to the outcome and letting her come to me. Now, I'll say to you that there were things that I did right by manifesting her coming back to me, by enjoying her femininity, enjoying the chemistry that's there between the two of us, enjoying who she is as a person, seeing her on a deeper level, even though we hadn't gone out, seeing the times at work that she had just been herself, and she's a total sweetheart, and she cares about other people. It's genuine, and she's not all wrapped up in herself. And I couldn't see it at the time, but in a way I was living in the end, because I was saying to myself on certain days, oh, you're just one day closer to going out with her. You're just one day closer to going out with her. So after weeks of being in my head about this the second time, and going back and forth about whether or not I should ask her out, if she's really interested in me, et cetera, I do ask her out and she turns me down. What has happened since then is I've talked to you, Agnes, at least twice about manifesting a specific person, but our conversations have turned very much towards self-love and loving the self and healing yourself. And I'll say manifesting the best version of yourself. And I say that because I saw this second time around what I was doing. And at least this time I saw it. The first time I saw it and knew what I was doing, but I had no idea what to do. The second time around, I got so wrapped up in it that again, I was in my head, but now I feel wiser having learned from it, because I could see that the issue came down to me loving myself. Because what I had done I started dealing with those different groups of guys, all the periphery issues, connecting with women better, grounding myself, being calmer, being more centered, learning how to lead a woman simply by taking her hand and walking across the room with her, learning about being a problem person, learning about being a drain on someone's resources, learning how not to be those things, learning how to be there. The things I could do for myself to help myself, put myself first. But the thing that I really needed to do, what had to be process number one and step number one, is that I've learned from that, is learning how to love myself, learning how to accept myself, my faults, and I'm still learning how to do it, and learning how to appreciate myself and the good and the bad, and learning that my imperfections are okay, and I am okay being imperfect. And I'm okay in any moment of the day being imperfect. And I keep on saying this word imperfect because I've tried to manage tension and keep a perfect world. I tried to do that for years because I couldn't handle someone being angry with me. And it started, the first time I really noticed it was in my job in high school, but I'm sure it started years before that. And I couldn't handle someone being disappointed with me or not approving of me, because that means that there was a problem in my world and someone didn't like me. And having that approval from someone else was very important. Even with this woman the first time around, I noticed myself changing, because my brain's like, okay, how do I get her to go out with me? And what do I have to do? And how do I have to be as a person for that to happen? Rather than just me naturally being who I am. And that's what she wanted. She liked my masculine energy. She liked my presence. She liked who I was being as a person. She liked my heart. She liked what she saw of my soul. She liked me physically. She was attracted to me as a man. In some ways, I turned her on. It's just reality. And even I'm talking to you about this now, and my brain back then couldn't believe it. And my body, in some ways, couldn't either. So what I've been doing since she turned me down is I've noticed myself slowly turning away from her. I got advice after she turned me down for the second time that I wish I had heard after we were supposed to go out the first time, was that forget about the girl and focus on your growth, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I really wish I had done that now, because I'm still attracted to her. I don't see her that much now at work. I'm disappointed by that. I'm hurt by that. I know I'm focusing on that. But I talked to her one day this week at work, and it went like that. To me, feeling the chemistry and connection between us. It just came back so naturally. I just was being myself, and she was being herself, and it just happened. And the problem has really been me not believing in myself. So this is a message to anyone, and it's not just if you're trying to attract your specific person, but it's for anything you're trying to manifest. Because in this process of manifesting, I've picked up Eckhart Tolle and Dr. Joe Dispenza, and one of the books being The Power of Now, and another book from Dr. Joe being about healing yourself. And I've learned about manifesting from a different perspective, because my manifestations have, in some ways, have been conscious, in other ways have been unconscious. When they're negative, they're generally conscious because I'm choosing to be negative. But case in point with this woman last year at work, I was depressed about us not getting together, and actually said to myself, I wish I could just get her I wish I could just get her cell phone number. And a couple of weeks later, it happened just through work. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Did I text her? No, because it was me not having asked her for her number, and that didn't feel right to me at the time, but I still manifested it. And with this instance, this week when we talked at work, I actually said to myself, I miss the chemistry between us. And the next day she's being herself, and I'm being myself, and I'm enjoying that. And Agnes is even smiling on the screen right now. Reality is that she's a beautiful woman. She has changed my definition of what a woman is. She has changed my definition of what feminine is. I wish that we can get together someday, but it feels very negative inside my body as to where last time when I would have said this to you, when I was supposedly doing my deep work after I asked her out the first time, I was driven so much by ego. And as soon as I let all that ego stuff go, she started flirting with me again, and the manifestation started. And recently I've been asking myself, because I've been going deeper in this work and seeing how needy I've been with women, and seeing how much I felt like I've needed them and needed them to validate me and tell me that I'm good enough, that I've been slowly picking away at that, and I feel like I'm building myself up brick by brick by brick at a time. And if I'm saying that, it's interesting, because that means the foundation of the house is already laid. And then I've come to the point of, well, what's the point of dating if I don't need anything from her anymore? Like, I was that needy for years that I felt like the woman had to give me something or to do something. Like, I've had a lot of resentment about her and I not having gone out the first time. I was on vacation this year and just found myself saying out of the blue, I hope I never see her again. I hope I never see her again. And I'm on, like, what the hell's going on here? Like, why am I saying this? This is not the case. Of course I want to see her again. But my ego was that hurt by the two of us not going out. And my ego was that hurt because I asked her out time one, then I asked her out time two, that was in November. And then I asked her out real recently this year, and she turned me down again. And that time this year was before I was on vacation, and I was ticked off that she had turned me down. And it's because I was seeking something from her. I was seeking that validation rather than being okay with myself. And I resented the fact that she did not give it to me, even though it's not her job to do it. I've been putting that on women for years. And part of the reason now I don't see a point to dating is that I don't want to put that on women anymore. And I don't think it's fair to them. And in some ways, I'm hurting now and can see that talking to you, that because I've been putting this on them for so many years, I've been giving them this unspoken responsibility when it's my job and my responsibility to have that within myself. And I've stepped away from dating because I don't want to put that on women anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been hurting people, when really I've been hurting myself. So
Vincent, I think that is one of the biggest light bulb moments in the evolution of having better relationships is what you've just said. I no longer want to be trying to get something from them.
no,
I've been doing that and I didn't even realize I'd been doing that. I just did that on automatic pilot, or I learned that from God knows who. And when you get that and you remember it, it's like you then have this time where you kind of incubate it. And then when you step into a relationship, you can never not know that anymore. And that, I think, is such an incredible maturing of relationship understanding. It's huge, huge.
well, thank you for saying that, sweetheart. I'll also say that recently I've picked up on certain things. So there's a group I follow on Facebook called Dating Essentials for Men.
Yeah.
Dating Essentials for Men is run by a man called Dr. Robert Glover.
Okay.
Dr. Robert Glover is a therapist, but he's also the author of a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And No More Mr. Nice Guy is a book I first picked up in 2011. And for any guys that are listening, it is exactly as it sounds. It is a book that is going to teach you how to have a backbone, how to be assertive in a healthy way, and how to step forward and be the man you're capable of being while being healthy for yourself, with yourself. It's okay to have needs. This book is going to teach you that it's okay to have needs. It's okay to have wants. It's okay to have desires. It's okay to ask someone else for help. And most of all, it's okay for you to admit to yourself that you're not perfect. So I'm just putting that name of the book out there in case there's guys that are listening right now that feel that. To me, the reason I got this book, and it was handed to me by someone, was because I felt there were two different versions of me. One version of me that was the one everyone saw consistently, where I was always nice and everything was always on an even keel and I never tried to take anyone off. And then the other version of myself that was much more masculine, assertive, and almost the borderline bad boy, or could be described as the nice guy with an edge or a classy jerk. So I stepped forward where I'm on Facebook and Dr. Glover posts something about a woman being on an emotional roller coaster ride and her man being there to join her. And I replied by saying, and it just happened naturally and instinctively within myself, well, no, the woman's not actually going to want you to solve the problems for her. She may want you to help her out and to hold her hand, but if it's her problem, she's going to want you to handle it herself. She's going to want to handle it herself. As to where, before I've learned all this stuff about me through the book and all the different teachings that I've taken part in, I would have tried to solve that problem for her.